right, we're here again talking to our friend Bill, and this gentleman has had some experiences over his lifetime that are kind of amazing, and we're privileged to be able to talk to him for a few minutes today. And Bill, if you want to just give us a little bit of history.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back several years, back when I'm 75 right now, and it was probably back when I was in my early 20s. We bought this farm here, and had an old gentleman house with the siding on it. You remember the siding wall? It looked like brick, but it was just...
Flood took it out there.
Huh?
Flood messed it up, didn't it?
Yeah, that house we had. No, this part of this house was here then.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, I was working Indian shift over at True Temper, axe plant, worked over for several years, and came home one night. She told me, she said, your hogs is out or something. I said, what? I said, they've been rubbing on the side of the wall out here and stuff. Never been on that outside wall over there. And I went up there and looked, and the hogs was all in the pen. So I came back next night or two, same thing again. And I went out there, and there was it was hair in the grit on that siding. It wasn't no hog hair. Some of it was a sort of a grayish black looking color. It was not that long, probably an inch and a half long or so. Okay. But
how far up on the house, Billy?
Huh?
How far up on the house?
I don't remember, Paul. It looked like we was putting his back against the wall.
Scratching his back.
Rubbing his back, that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like. But it wasn't a hole.
Huh.
And now my son and his boy, my son has seen twice.
What has he seen?
Huh?
What?
Sasquatch.
Oh, he has here
Bigfoot.
on your property?
Back in the hole here.
I
Wow.
was telling him about the hunting the first time he seen him with a crossbow.
And the first time he saw him, it was back. It really, well, this hollow runs right into the. Oh, remember the old house way back here, the hollow?
Mary's place.
No, the other one, the one out there.
Oh, okay. Now, remember what I was telling y'all? That it'd be like quite a few square miles where there'd be a farm. I mean, there was vast, a lot of property before there was a house. That's one of them. That way up in the hollow, they probably wasn't
Nobody lived there.
Yeah, 2 square miles, there wasn't nobody.
Nobody lived there, but this old house was there. But Carl went up there one evening and took Nikki with him, and they bow hunting. He can better tell than I can. And he was setting up the hill there. He put Nikki right there in that coming over that low gap, And he went on out the hill, and used to be an old hall where went off the hill there.
Right.
He was sitting there and said he seen something coming through the woods, and he first thought it was a hunter with one of those suits on.
Ghillie suit.
Huh?
Ghillie suit.
Yeah, he thought that's what it was, but he said the closer it got, the more he seen it wasn't no hunter. And he said it came almost out to him and went down that little hall road. Said it went down there a little ways, and said it turned and looked at him, went made a big noise. And then after that, he comes to the house, he was still shaking.
Man, I'd be shaking.
Said he went around there and told Nick, he said, let's go, Nick, let's go. What, Daddy? What? Come on, don't ask no questions. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Carl was excited. Then, probably 3 or 4 months after that, he's always worked on lawnmowers and just everything. Anybody brings him. And he was outside of his house. He was outside there working on his lawnmower. Said he seen something across the bottom up there, And so he didn't pay much attention to it. So he got to looking, and up against the hill, behind the house up there, big old oak tree up there, big patch of wood there. And he said that thing was standing like a man would be standing against the tree, like this, watching him.
Oh, man.
And said, and his wife's name is Annette. He said, Annette, come out here. Hey, Nettie, come out here a minute. She come out, she said, what? He said, look up her against the hill and see if you see anything. And she said, my dad, I can't swear what it was. But she said it was big and black hair, looking, she said it looked real black and it was hairy. And said it watched us for a long time, and he just turned around and walked off.
he asked her to go in the house to get a camera, and he said camera, boom,
It gone.
it bolted.
When he said the word camera, it ran.
He might know what we were talking about.
Wow.
Where did they start from, you think?
Well, after 40 years of research, Bill, what we've come up with the conclusion, these things are a genetically engineered offspring of Nephilim. Nephilim are fallen. You've got fallen angels. The Bible talks about fallen angels. Well, when they had sexual relations with women, they created a race of Nephilim.
Bill, can I ask you a question? Paul mentioned that there were some children that were picking blackberries and that one of these things was waving them to come to it. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh.
Was it picking blackberries? It was something. It was
Oh,
up in the
up here in the
holler.
holler.
You tell me,
Yeah, they was, yeah. Now, last year I was back there picking blackberries. And up there, he had Brad and Bill's hollow.
Yeah.
Bill's comes up this way and Brad comes up that
We had a
way.
big patch of blackberries up in there.
There was a big patch of blackberries there, and I was picking it, and I'm telling you, it was thick in there, you know. And right in the center of that patch, there's a big place walled up. And you couldn't find a path going into it.
Really?
No.
Wow.
I mean, it just looked like something had been going in there laying and sleeping and rolling around stuff, but you couldn't find no path going into it.
Wow.
Now, last winter I did find some tracks back on the hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was in first part of deer season last year, in the mud back there and stuff.
How big were they? Do you recall?
The ones I've seen, those back there, I'd say probably a foot long.
Still a good sized track.
And now my son Kip retired from the military. He was he was in the service several years, but he did something to his back and they operated on him. He lost the use of his left leg and stuff. But now it's probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. He lives in South Carolina, and he came up and he was wanting to find some old rusty tin to take back with him. But they used it down to build a lot of stuff out of round bars and different things like that. So I called Brad up there. Brad had a building up there pretty well falling down. I said, Brad, do you care if we get those that old pin off the building? You can get anything over you want. We don't care what you get. So I rode my 4-wheeler up. Kip took the 2 grandchildren in the truck. And I told him, I said, Kip, I'm going to have to run down for a second. So I came back down, got some drinks and stuff, went back. And when I got back up there, Kip was standing out in the middle of the road. And he just no long road in the road. And I said, what's the matter, Kip? He said, he was white. He said, Dad, you're not going to believe this. I said, if you tell me, I'll believe it. He said, the kids were screaming and hollering and stuff, you know, and stuff. And he said there was a Bigfoot coming right there in the bush. He's that hill. Wow. And he said, I think it come because he thought it was going to hurt his children.
Wow.
And we kept talking, and I walked up, it's pretty silent out there. I walked up there and looked, I could see where it was at. And when it went around the hill, it was sliding. The foot was, you know, just in place of the slide. I went out there and went down. You never, first of all, haul out there. But if you go up there, yeah, I know you've been there, but when it went down through there, it stepped in the mud. It was a big track. Then there was a small track beside it.
Interesting.
So I come back and Kip was telling me more about it, you know, and everything. I said, Kip, I seen a big track out there, and there was a small track with it. And his grandson spoke up and he said, what y'all talking about, that old big hairy thing? And we said, you know what? I said, well, it was right out there when y'all were getting that tin. It was eating grass and the 2 babies was with it.
Wow.
Wow.
So the children saw it. The children saw it.
The children saw it. Yeah, he said,
One time the kid said that it was motion for him to come when the kids come home.
yeah, he said, he said, yeah, he said, the grandkids spoke up and said, what y'all talking about, them hairy things? And kids said, what everything? He said, well, when your pawpaws up on the building tearing that tin off, said that there was a big one and 2 little ones out there eating grass. They were.